Join the right honourable gentleman in saying yes, of course, we should always support Holocaust Memorial Day, whether it is here in the United Kingdom, where we have a number of commemorations, or indeed in Israel. But I'm going to press him on this point, because he did say this. He said, "It will be my pleasure and my honour to host an event in Parliament where our friends from Hezbollah will be speaking. I've also invited friends from Hamas to come and speak as well." Now, Hamas and Hezbollah believe in killing Jews, not just in Israel, but around the world. So would he take this opportunity? Because if he wants to clear up the problem of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, now is a good time to start. Withdraw that they're your friends.
Mr. Speaker, I've made it very clear Labour is an anti-racist party and there is no place for anti-Semitism within it. We've suspended any members that have undertaken any anti-Semitic activities or work or statements and have established an inquiry led by Shami Chakrabarti. The points he was making earlier relate to a discussion I was hosting in order to try to promote a peace process, and it was not an approval of those organisations. I absolutely do not approve of those organisations. Mr. Speaker, the reality is that vulnerable people are being abandoned in this country. The Prime Minister has said that social care and support for the elderly is a priority for him. So if that's the case, why has he cut £4.5 billion since 2010 from the adult social care budget, leaving 300,000 older people without care and support they need to live in dignity?
First of all, we're putting more money into social care, and we're allowing councils to raise the council tax to put that money in. But I'm afraid he's going to have to do this one more time. He referred to Hamas and Hezbollah as his friends. Now, he needs to withdraw that remark. Let me give him another chance. Are they your friends or are they not? Because those organisations, in their constitutions, believe in persecuting and killing Jews. They are anti-Semitic organisations. They're racist organisations. He must stand up and say they are not his friends.
Mr. Speaker, obviously, anyone that commits racist acts or is anti-Semitic is not a friend of mine. It's very clear. It's very clear about that. I'm very clear about that. I would also invite him to think for a moment about the conduct of his party and his candidate in the London mayoral elections. The way in which they're systematically smearing my friend, the member for Tooting, who's our candidate for mayor. I wish him well, and I invite the Prime Minister to undertake to ensure that the Conservative Party in London desists from the activities it's undertaking at the present time in smearing my friend. Last week, Mr. Speaker, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation's destitution report found that 1.25 million people in Britain were unable to afford the essentials needed to eat, stay warm, clean and dry. The number of people using food banks has risen again last year. The Prime Minister usually lectures us about a stronger economy. When will that stronger economy mean that fewer people need to use food banks?
What the stronger economy means is there are over 2 million more people in work than when I became Prime Minister. That you can earn £11,000 before you pay tax, as I'm Prime Minister, and we've now introduced a national living wage, something never done in 13 years of a Labour government. But I completely reject what he says about Labour's candidate for the London mayoralty. I would make this argument, as I said before at this dispatch box, we are not responsible for everything someone says when they share a platform with us. We can't control everyone who appears in a picture, but there is a pattern of behaviour with the honourable member for Tooting. And let me tell him, he shared a platform with Sajil Shahid, the man who trained the ringleader of the 7/7 attacks and accused the United States of bringing 9/11 on themselves. He shared a platform with an extremist who called for Jews to be drowned in the ocean. When this was put to the honourable member for Tooting, this is what he said. He described it as mere flowery language. Now, if he wants to know why he has a problem with anti-Semitism is because his candidates share platform after platform after platform with extremists and anti-Semites and then excuse their words. One more time, say you withdraw the remark about Hamas and Hezbollah being your friends.
Mr. Speaker, last week the Prime Minister tried, as he often does, to smear my friend, the member for Tooting, by his association with Solomon Ghani. It turns out that Mr. Ghani is actually an active Conservative supporter who has shared platforms with the honourable member for Richmond. He also should reflect on the words said by Lord Lansley some years ago that racism was endemic within his party. We have set up a commission of inquiry. I suggest he might think about doing the same thing. Lord Kerslake, Mr. Speaker, the former government housing chief, has said the housing bill effectively removes the security that people need. It is fundamentally wrong. Homelessness up by a third since he became Prime Minister and rising again this year. A voter, Malcolm, wrote to me this week and said he and his family will lose their home if the government's housing bill goes through. Why can't the Prime Minister follow the example set by the Welsh Labour government in placing a legal duty, a legal responsibility on councils to help people during a housing crisis? Why can't he do that?
I tell you what this government has done, not in Wales, where Labour are in control, but here in England, we built twice as much council housing in the last 6 years as Labour did in the previous 13. But I'm not going to let this issue rest about the honourable member Tooting. He raised the case of Solomon Ghani, who the member for Tooting shared a platform with 9 times. This is a man who says it's wrong to stop people to go and fight. Look, as long as it takes. Do you want to know the views of the person that your leader has just quoted? He described women as right. The honourable member for Islington might be interested in this. He described women as subservient to men. He said that homosexuality was an unnatural act. He stood on a platform with people who wanted an Islamic State. That is why his attempts to deal with anti-Semitism are utterly condemned to failure. Because he won't even condemn people who sit on platforms with people like that.